Hello everyone, it's Ellie here. I wanted to talk to you guys about Pray Like Daniel. If you don't know what I'm talking about at all, it's completely new to you, then can you look up hashtag Pray Like Daniel in YouTube and you'll find some prayer encouragements and some prophetic words to help us pray every day, 3 times a day, for our nation and for the world in this time of crisis. So why Daniel? What's it about Daniel? Well, Daniel was a chap in the Old Testament. He was one of God's people. He was one of the Israelites. And Israel had done well following God for a very, very short time. And then they had started to follow other gods and gone their own way, choosing to do their own thing. And God had, in his wisdom, allowed them to be taken into exile by the king of Babylon, because he knew that actually it wasn't comfort that they needed most, it was him. And that's true of all of us. We need God more than anything else. And Daniel went into exile with the Israelites, and he served King Nebuchadnezzar, who was a king who thought he was the greatest thing ever. Everybody feared him, except Daniel feared God more than he feared King Nebuchadnezzar. He was only a teenager when he went into Babylon, and he made a courageous decision to trust God, even if it would cost him his life. And there are many occasions where his life was threatened, but he continued to trust God, and God came through for him. King Nebuchadnezzar thought that he would live forever, but he didn't. God took away his throne eventually. He did die, and then the next person to come in his place was a guy called Belshazzar, who also thought that he was the greatest, most mighty king and would live forever. But even while he was throwing a party showing off of how amazing his kingdom was, how secure it was, Daniel came to him and said, God is taking away your kingdom tonight. And that very night his kingdom was taken from him. He was killed, and Darius, King Darius of the Medes and Persians, came and took his place. Darius was kind to Daniel in that he really respected him, and other people in Darius's court were envious that Daniel had such respect, because basically he kept trusting God and God was giving him favor. And so what they did was they tried to look for things that Daniel did wrong, but they couldn't find any. So instead they looked at his prayer life and thought, well, he's never going to stop praying to Yahweh, so let's attack that. So they managed to get Darius to make a decree that everybody everywhere had to pray to King Darius. And if you think about it, it probably made sense to him, because, well, if you needed saving, who had the power to save? King Darius. If you needed food, who had the power to feed you? King Darius. Except that Daniel trusted in Yahweh, the God of the Israelites, more than he trusted the kings. So this decree went out that anyone who did not pray to King Darius would be thrown into the lion's den. And Daniel went about his business, praying 3 times a day as usual, with the windows wide open so that everybody could see. And the people that wanted him to be got rid of went and found him, praying 3 times a day as usual. They had him thrown in the lion's den, and Daniel trusted God. And Darius actually had the worst night's sleep ever. He couldn't sleep. He realized what he had done was wrong, and he went back and said, Daniel, has your God saved you? And Daniel said yes. He sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths. So Daniel got the guys that hated Daniel thrown in there instead, and the lions ate them up before they even touched the ground. So then the most remarkable thing happened. Darius sent out a decree to the whole of his empire. King Darius wrote to all the peoples, nations, and men of every language throughout the land, May you prosper greatly. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed, his dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves, he performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. So because Daniel would not stop trusting God, and he continued to pray 3 times a day, even in the face of his impending death, God actually did remarkable things through him. And I want us to be a people who pray like Daniel did, 3 times a day, trusting in God alone for salvation, for rescue, and particularly in this time of crisis, God alone is going to be the answer. God alone can save us. And he can take away this virus, and he can also bring the heart of the nation back to himself. So we are praying morning, noon and night, expecting that this salvation will come from God alone. Pray with us. If you want to join us in the receiving prayer encouragements, I'm putting prayer encouragements out every day. Look at hashtag Pray Like Daniel on YouTube, and you'll find prophecies, scriptures, songs to encourage you in your prayers. Well done. Keep praying morning, noon and night.